When you get paid, it means you create value somewhere.
The money is just a validation that what you've built actually serves a purpose.
It is my favorite podcast. I do not search for ideas or I do not search for problems. I just make anything and then the problems will come to me. So I made a bunch of apps that are pretty much useless. I made some stuff where you can rank Naval Ravikant's quotes. And this has no purpose, but just this creates problems. And these problems becomes startups' ideas. And then eventually they lead to one another. And if you look backward at the product I built, each of the new products I make is the answer to a previous problem I had with another product. So that's pretty much the flow. And now the idea is the list is a bit too big. Like I have too many ideas. And it's a matter of filtering which one am I going to work on and which one are not worth the time.
I think you're going to motivate Dan right now to build his wallpaper app.
Don't start me on that. Don't start. Do you know?
You got to
it's
spin
too
the
late. Yeah, well, no, but I can create a new problem for wallpapers. You know, they're gonna launch the new iOS with tons of customization and stuff, where you can put the icons anywhere you want. You know, that's like a whole new wave of wallpaper apps. Like, I'm gonna crush this. I'm gonna crush it.
This is entrepreneurship. Like you see an opportunity, you just jump on it. You don't have no clue where you're going, but you know it's new, so maybe something will happen.
Yeah, but Sandra stopped me. I'm like, Sandra, I'm making the wallpaper app, and she's like, no, does it need to be an app? I'm like, yeah, it needs to be an app. No, can it be a website instead? It's like, Sandra, it's for iPhones. It needs to be an app. No, Dan, like, scale it down. Like, how do you scale things down? How do you like do something that you can ship in 1 month? You know, what's the key to that? How do you say no to yourself, basically?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I start to have some frameworks where I would, for instance, only work on apps that I can monetize, work on apps that I would use myself, work on apps that potentially I know the markets a little bit. And then when I build them fast, I try to focus on that only one feature that matters to customers. The thing that if the feature doesn't exist, then the app is useless. And I only build that. And then I skip a bunch of stuff like you cannot reset your password. There's a bunch of stuff I skip to try to get the first version as soon as I can.
Yeah, got it. And do you start like with a financial goal as well? Like you put an app out and you think, okay, I'll be happy if this one makes 5K or is that sort of, let's see what happens. I put it out there. If it works, it's good. If it doesn't, I just move to the next one. How do you go in this?
I think the money thing is good because usually when you get paid for something, when you get paid, it means you create value somewhere. And I just use this as a metric to know if what I'm doing is valuable. And I think in the end, that's what matters the most to me. I want to make something people want. I spend so much time creating stuff in the void, complete void that nobody wanted. And I just want to be heard somehow. And the money is like, I know if people pay for it, it means I've done something that they use, that they need. And that makes me happy. So yeah, that's why it's kind of important that I monetize those apps.
Yeah, so the money is just the validation that what you've built actually serves a purpose. Like you once said that with 10K in Bali, you kind of get 1 year to build a startup while being on holidays. I think it's a famous tweet of yours. It's maybe not true anymore, but is this something you'd still recommend today? Like people doing the apps as you did and being on a somewhat low budget and having fun with it? Or looking back at this approach, was it a good way to do it? Or would you do it somehow else?
Yes, 100%. First, because if you look at where the most successful solopreneurs come from, Peter Levels, Danny Posma, Thibaut Maker, they were all in Bali somehow. So there is something magical about Bali. Now the new generation is coming from Finland and Denmark, but that's another story.
Building wallpaper apps.
Not with my taxes, Mark. It's not happening. I just asked you because I wanted to move to Bali, actually. But okay, go on.
But no, I think I think just moving to an entirely new country, like changing everything in your life, sometimes it's good. You know, you discover new stuff, you take a new road, and then you you discover something you didn't know before. So I think this is good. And I think living on a budget, living with constraints is also very helpful because you go straight to the essential. You don't have time for the fancy sauna, the fancy cold plunge, whatever. You just, you spend for the basic, your accommodation, the food and stuff. And then the rest of the time you make apps. And then if you start to make money with those apps, you'll be very happy to invest in, better lifestyles and stuff like that. But yeah, I think having constraints is very important.
Was there anyone already in Bali before you left? Like before you moved, was anyone already there? What was like, who pushed you?
My wife, we were in Korea. We were not married back then, but we were living in Korea, and we both wanted to move somewhere more exotic and also cheaper. But that's another story. And she said, "Let's go Bali," and I had no idea I would like it. We went there. I discovered how to surf a little bit, and I loved it, and I'm stuck here now.
Yeah. So then when are we moving?
I'm looking for flights in parallel. So Mark, do you have some extra couches at your place? Because we're coming. Oh yeah, that's my spot right there. And Sandra, you could be yeah, we got it. It looks like a
We can
comfy
fit.
couch. Yeah,
It
we
is.
can fit. We need some constraints, so maybe we share the couch in the beginning, so we're a bit more motivated. I don't know. Uh, there's
Sandra
some
will
cool.
take the couch. Then you will spend a night outside.
Hey, it's Bali. I hear it's perfect temperature all year round, so no problem. But there's spiders, or what? Someone said there's spiders. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, let's
So
think about that.
interesting.
Let's
Interesting.
circle back. Well, you need some constraints that way too on your I guess on your phobias and stuff. That helps you ship more apps for sure. Sandra,
I
actually want to say something. I think, yeah, you have something on your mind.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question again.
You know what? Go
Then
ahead and
shaking,
ask
it's
questions.
good. But I
Okay,
wanna.
okay. Before you ask the question, the chat is blowing up. Everyone's saying good morning. Everyone's saying asking Mark when he knows what to quit, or if he has a product that's not working anymore. When do you kind of say it's failed? And I
Mm,
think maybe that's leading into your question as well. But
yeah.
yeah.
Like, what do you think you need to go through all of these failures? You went actually to get where you are now. So like, it's.
I think so. I think it's because first the failures are learning. So from all those apps I made, I learned a lot of stuff. Like some of my programmatic SEO projects are failures in the sense that they don't make money, but I learned so much from it that it helps build each steps of the journey. And I think the frustration of failing over and over, it builds motivation. It triggers something inside of you where like, right, I have to hit the next one or something.
Yeah. I think we talked also last week when we talked with Mari, it was the same thing. Like you fail, but it's not a failure in the sense that um, it shouldn't be something that demotivates you, but actually motivates you. So you are able to see all the lessons you learned to move that in the next project.
Yeah.
And I think that's the great point also for people that are just starting out.
Yeah, and I think we call it failure, but if you look at the masses, the average person, the fact that you are on the internet watching Twitter, where you see people making stuff, you're learning from them, you're making apps that even though they don't go big, even though you don't make much money from it, you're still making apps, and
Yeah.
you're already ahead of 99% of people. So it's not a failure; it's already a success. It's not just as big as you want it to be. It's already a super
Yeah.
big success.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And it's so interesting. And I also don't like that word failure because it's so wrong in so many levels because you can always start over. Either it's an app, and especially if you're like building in the process and sharing, you're kind of like also same in your case, when we look at your profile, like who you are online, this all happened because you decided to share this whole process. Do you recommend that to people? Do you recommend to share their failures as well, like a learning lessons to others?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think I would be very authentic about everything I do. And just, whatever it's a failure, like there are a lot of people there are much more people who will relate to your failures than they will relate to your successes. So
Yeah.
I would be just authentic. I would just be me. And I think, especially now with AI, I think it's the time where you have to be yourself if you want people to relate to your stories. If you are generic and you only share the good parts, and I don't know, I think it's not very authentic, and I'm not sure that the best way to do things.
You know what I've noticed, and it's quite funny, is that you when you share failures, you tend to get a lot more friendlier replies than when you share success, because when you share success, you also get some haters, right? But when you share failures, everyone's like, ah, come on, man, bounce back, you're doing great, and so on. Have you noticed that as well?
Yes, 100%. And I think our community is very supportive. So yeah, 100%. It is my favorite podcast.